Next question on policies and rate. Some sort of dialogue that happens between the community and the county. Shannon, as somebody that has a park, where do you fall on when it comes to creating some sort of standardization that you're following at Live Oaks? And do you see that occurring throughout the other park in El Dorado County that you know of? Is there any kind of standardization of how you operate or in how you create rate increases?
You know, when we went through one of the last three conversations about rent control over the last 20, 25 years, we chose to try to maintain a balance as close to the cost of living adjustment and or the CPI as we could. We, our numbers, which again Tamara says that, you know, she's not necessarily talking to all parks, but I have an 18-year average of COLA being at about 2.04%, and at Lake Oaks, the same 18 years, our average increase was 2.8%. We, you know, my opinion, how I try to kind of explain the rents and the need to increase every year is similar to an HOA. So, yes, people have hopefully paid for their homes and they wanted to have an affordable rent that they could count on for their retirement or for their, you know, foreseeable future. And there's still costs that, with regards to your 40-plus-year-old park infrastructures. You've got your amenities, your swimming pools and your clubhouses and your roads and all of these things. If you were a resident-owned mobile home community, you would still need to be paying into some kind of fund to maintain the areas that everyone benefits from and everyone enjoys. And so what I see in today's market especially is that there is some kind of balance that's needed between the rents and the sale price, because they do directly, you know, affect one another. In Lake Oaks right now, our rents range from $565 to $830 with an average space rent of $660 a month. And we have homes in our park selling, 40-year-old homes, selling for $250,000. So if you put a blanket rent control ordinance over everyone trying to help the people that really need it, I think the focus is being taken off of the people that really need the programs and really need the help. And the cost of, or the price that people are getting for their homes is pretty outrageous. I mean, not that they don't deserve it, not that they haven't worked their whole life for it, but when you compare, you're saying affordable housing and trying to maintain something that's, you know, within reach of all different age groups. It's another market that is the way of the times right now. Our real estate market is completely inflated, and so there needs to be a balance on both sides, in my opinion.
And this comment is for the tech up in the booth. If you're trying to do privacy of oxygen, it's working. If you put on the air conditioner, we'd really appreciate it. Frank, yeah, and knowing you, I know that you've looked at some policies, and especially what's in place around in the state of California. And I understand that the last county to go through the process of creating a policy for mobile homes has been Humboldt County.
That's correct.
It's
It's the most recent one I'm aware of.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you found out in that?
Well, that there, you know, it is possible. You know, I think again from a park owner standpoint, there are certainly hesitations about wanting to have a space rent stabilization ordinance. From a mobile home park resident standpoint, it provides a safety net, a good structure for preventing the kind of abuses that Tamara was speaking to. And you can construct an ordinance that is, again, trying to addresses, if you will, the bad actor phenomenon, because again, I think, as has been mentioned before, blessedly, in our county, we don't have too many instances of that. But as Tamara pointed out, the concern is that if we don't take action to set some kind of guidelines, whatever those guidelines might be, whether they're standards, I think you suggested that a little earlier, is there ways to establish some voluntary standard across the park owners in our county about what is expected. Here's our standard lease agreement that we recommend using, just like you have with apartments. Here's the standard we expect for rent increases. Here's the practices that we find to be professional and ethical. And could we establish those, and would those have some value? Would they be adhered to? They would require voluntary adherence. But the goal is to create some climate in our county where the bad actors are discouraged from ever coming here. And if they start excessive rent increases, that we've got some kind of culture that says, if you will, business practice and culture that says, no, we don't do that. So that's one possibility. An ordinance does provide you with the backbone. It's a little like having speed limits on the freeway, You have some framework that says we don't exceed this amount. The problem with and I will say the downside, I'll be honest with you, is that sometimes the side effect of space rent stabilization's ordinances is sometimes it increases rents. People think now that's the new threshold, and sometimes the threshold becomes higher than what some of the mom and pop parks usually even put in place. So there are pros and cons, like everything else, how you weigh it out.
Yeah, I like the standardization approach because it just offers a level playing field of understanding. And this is what our expectations are as a community and as a county. And if you come in and you're not adhering to those standards, I know people that can come and pay you a visit. So I could
Bill, can I speak to Humboldt? Because I was actually involved in that process really quick, and just
Sure.
kind of give you another perspective. In Humboldt County, the Board of Supervisors chose not to adopt a rent control ordinance for the county. And the residents did a ballot initiative, and it passed. But I think it's important to note that there are about 540 cities and counties in California. 440 do not have rent control ordinances in place for mobile home parks. It's not common. You have about 95 ordinances out there that have been adopted, and they're becoming fewer and fewer over the years. Humboldt's been several years now, and in that time, about 17 jurisdictions have currently rejected rent control. The city of Pico Rivera down in LA County just in February rejected rent control. They had 6 parks there with 405 spaces, and one of the reasons why the city council said we can't do rent control is because we can't afford it. And the city staff had told them that just for those 6 parks and for those 405 spaces, that it would cost the city, a very small city, $156,000 a year. So compare that to El Dorado County and 57 parks and over 3,000 spaces, you could see the cost being extraordinary.